Thank you for joining us today for World Arthritis Day. The Arthritis Foundation Heartland Region has the pleasure of working with three of our regional camp counselors who are here to tell us their story about transitioning with juvenile arthritis. You will have the opportunity to listen to this recording from October 1st to October 12th and complete the follow-up survey and ask questions to our speakers. All answers will be posted on our website and Facebook page. The speakers today we have with us are Michael, Kristen, and Colleen. The topics that we're going to cover is life with JA, including college life, health insurance issues, doctor transition, social life, and of course, staying physically active. I have the pleasure of introducing Mike. Mike is currently a college student and he's employed at PetSmart. Mike has also been a longtime camp counselor and volunteer with the Arthritis Foundation. Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. As Jasmine said, my name is Mike. I'm 23. I was diagnosed with JA when I was in the 4th grade. I was fortunate enough to, 2 or 3 years after my diagnosis, my arthritis went into remission. So fortunately, I didn't have to deal with it for too long, but I do still, run the risk of having it come back, and I still deal with the after effects. Some of the topics that Jasmine had mentioned was, college. My college life hasn't really been impeded by, my arthritis. Going to school is pretty straightforward. I don't do any sports. I never did. I've never been much of a sports guy. So, athletics has never really been my thing, so I've never really had any problems with that. But I mean, college has, just been pretty normal. I can't really say that I've had, any challenges with it regarding my arthritis. Health insurance, like I said before, when I had arthritis, I was a kid, so my parents handled all of that, and I've never really had to deal with, health insurance bills or anything, because my arthritis is in remission. Doctors, I had two different doctors when I was getting treatment for my arthritis. The first doctor didn't really work out, and so we tried a different one, who happened to be Dr. Spencer, and he was absolutely wonderful. He was one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, and unfortunately, he did move out of state. But I did decide a long time ago if I ever had children and, if they ever were unlucky enough to inherit my illness, that, I would drive out of state to visit him and, make sure they get the best treatment possible. Because I do feel like, my arthritis did go into remission with his help. I feel like, if he hadn't been my doctor, if I'd stayed with the first doctor, I may still be struggling with that today. Next one would be social life. I remember when I was a kid, it did kind of strain my social life, because there were times where I would be in such pain that I would what I would do is I would just fill a bathtub with warm water and just chill out in there, and that would help my joints. But a lot of times that would happen, in the middle of the day, so I'd have to, stop what I was doing. A lot of times I'd, leave my friend's house and come back home just because I was hurting so much. And I tried to explain it to him, but I was the only kid at school that had it, and so nobody really understood. But my friends, they didn't hassle me about it, and they didn't make fun of me or anything about it. They tried to understand, but they didn't really understand. Um, and that's when I started going to Camp Jam, and I met all these other kids that had the same thing that I did, and that was kind of a changing moment in my life when I actually met other children that were going through the same thing. Um, and it was really great, and it had a lasting impact on me. And I that's why I came back as counselor, because I decided after going there that I always wanted to be involved with Camp Jam and the Arthritis Foundation. Um, Staying active, I like I said, I'm not much of an athletic person, but I'm not afraid of it. I work out regularly. I My job is physically demanding. I work at a warehouse, and it's pretty rough. You're on your feet for 9 hours a day. It's a 10-hour shift, 1 hour breaks and lunch. Um, but when I had arthritis, it really did a number on my knees and my feet. So when I first started out, it was kind of rough. I had to get used to it, but you know uh, I do my stretches, which helps. I know when I was a kid, I never did the stretches, and I got a feeling like a lot of kids don't like to do the stretches. But I can tell you now, do them. They help. I wish I would have done them when I was a kid. Maybe my legs would be a little bit better. But yeah, keep up with your stretches. Because it definitely helps, and you'll notice that when you're older. But yeah, my job is physically demanding, and like I said, the stretching helps. So I can tell you from experience, do the stretches. It doesn't take much time out of your day. And whenever I do something physical, like every once in a while, pick up a game of baseball or something, I make sure to stretch beforehand, and as long as I do the stretches, I'm not afraid of straining anything or hurting myself. Um, but I think that's it. I
Okay.
think that's
Well, thanks, Mike, for telling us your story. We're going to turn it over now to Kristen. Kristen, who has been working with the foundation as a volunteer and as an advocate for many, many years. Kristen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jasmine. I'm Kristen Hartman. As Jasmine said, I'm 24. I was diagnosed with arthritis at the age of 5, and then also fibromyalgia at the age of 12. And I've also had all sorts of one-off symptoms and different diseases along the way that are very close to arthritis. And I encourage you to seek help if you ever have your body or feel your body in pain. I, like Mike, saw Dr. Spencer when I was younger, and I agree he was the best doctor. And currently I am on Humira for my arthritis. I went to a relatively small school, and a lot of people didn't understand missing school, missing days off for doctor appointments. So having individuals know that and talk to them, tell them how you feel, get them engaged in your story helps. I went to Northern Illinois University, and I studied business, and when I was there, I got really sick, and I still stuck through it and did the semester, but looking back at it, I should have pulled myself out that semester for health conditions. It would have been better on my GPA, and it would have been better on my stress level. I was going from DeKalb to Chicago, so 2 hours at least in the mornings to go see my doctors and get physical therapy. And that just, you have to listen to your body. If that's the biggest advice I can give you, it would be listen to your body. But I've also had the unfortunate luck of transferring insurance and doctors this past year. And the piece of advice I would give you on that is to do your research. Understand your insurance plans if you're starting a new job and you are off your parents' plan, to really know what will be best with you. As someone with arthritis, you're more than likely going to be spending more money, and you really want to be cost effective. And then with doctors, this was the hardest thing. You find doctors that know you, know your 14 years of history, and then you have to transfer doctors. So do your research on doctors. Use your network. Use friends to see who they use. Going to camp has been helpful to see who other individuals use, like the counselors. But then also be prepared. Be prepared to ask questions for your new doctors, especially your rheumatologists, and be prepared to be frustrated. This is the first time meeting you, and they won't know your whole story. They don't know what medicine you've been on. And more than likely, you don't even know because you were young and your parents took care of that. So it's trial and error, and stick it out. It's frustrating. It's going to be frustrating. As far as social life, I get fatigued really easily. So at night, past 8 o'clock, sometimes there isn't a social life. And that is frustrating to know that, you can't go out with your friends or, do something super late. So, try to adjust. It's all about an adjustment and listening to your body to know when you need to stop pushing the limits. And with social life comes, if you want to wear heels and you have bad knees and ankles, so you can't. You just have to accept it and suck it up, and it sucks. Let me tell you, it sucks, but you just have to do it. Listen to your body. You are your number one advocate for your health, and you need to listen to your body. As far as staying active in for your health, I think the big thing is, if you are really sore, push through it. Maybe go for a walk. Swimming in water has always been a great thing for me. So whether it's, just getting in the pool and just kind of stretching out and, letting your muscles relax that way, or going for a walk, or hitting the gym if you're able to. That's great. Also, I would say get involved with the Arthritis Foundation. There's so many resources that you can use, whether it is finding a doctor, finding friends that have arthritis, or, finding out about health insurance, or maybe about prescription costs that can be lowered through different plans. Like I'm on Humira, and they have a Humira card that you can use. The Arthritis Foundation has all these resources, so use them. That's what they're there for, but also get involved with them. Be a camp counselor or go to camp, and, be an advocate. Really support the cause. I think that's it.
All right. Thanks, Kristen. I'm going to introduce you to our last speaker, Colleen. Colleen has also been with the foundation for a very long time, volunteering as well as being a camp counselor. Colleen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Jasmine. Like Jasmine said, I'm Colleen. I was diagnosed with lupus at the age of 10. It took a while for me to be diagnosed because none of the doctors that I went to see knew what was going on, so that was difficult. And since I was diagnosed, I've been on tons of medications. Some worked and some didn't. And now I'm lucky enough that I'm only on 2 medications, and I'm doing really well. But over the years, I've experienced a lot of flares, um, switching medications, and all that. But like some of the topics that Jasmine was talking about, college life, I guess I wasn't really too affected in college. I think the biggest challenge was scheduling doctor appointments around like when I was going to be home. I looked for college breaks to schedule my doctor's appointments because otherwise I'd have to miss class, and I didn't really want to do that, and teachers weren't very accepting of missing class either. Something else that was difficult in college was remembering to take my medications. You know, staying out late. Sometimes I didn't remember to take them in the morning, and so that affected my health a little bit, but, you know, I tried to stay on top of it as well as I could. And then I guess there were some times where I was just too tired to go to class, so then I had to make the decision if I was actually going to go or if I was going to skip. Some professors, they were okay with me skipping, but I didn't really tell any of my professors, I guess, that I had lupus. So maybe if I did that, then they would have been more understanding of when I missed class. So if you are going to college, I suggest telling your professors if you have arthritis or anything, so that if you do have to miss class for doctor's appointments or if you just can't go, then they don't think that you're making up some excuse. For health insurance, I'm on my parents' health insurance still, so that's good. I'm going to probably stay on it until I'm 26. My job right now doesn't offer health benefits, so I guess I'll have to struggle when that comes because, I mean, I need health insurance. I've looked at my medical bills, what they would be without health insurance, and they're ridiculously high. So I'll have to worry about either finding a new job or getting, you know, some sort of insurance plan when the time comes. I guess something else with insurance, make sure, I think Kristen was saying this, to get involved with the Arthritis Foundation so that you can, there's websites that they have for you for medications. I've been on medications where they're expensive, but then there's some sort of copay card to lower the copay. Right now I'm currently trying to lower my copay. I have one of my medications for lupus is the new Benlysta infusion, and right now it costs me $250 a month, then that's with insurance. So I'm currently trying to find a way to lower that cost. So I guess that's one of the struggles I'm having with health insurance. Transitioning doctors, I think that's the hardest part for me about transitioning with lupus. I saw Dr. Klein ever since I was diagnosed when I was 10, and then I was lucky enough that she kept me under her care until I was about 21 because I told her that I didn't want to leave her, and I still wish I didn't leave her. So she recommended a doctor for me to go see, a rheumatologist. So I went to go see her, and it was really annoying because I filled out all the paperwork that they needed and sent over all my charts. And when I went in to see her, it seemed that she hadn't even looked at any part of my chart. So it was annoying to me that I had to basically tell her everything that I had already written down. But I guess that's probably going to happen for people switching doctors. But, I mean, she wasn't really a big help to me. She wanted to send me all over the place to different doctors, and she wouldn't really take care of anything that I needed taken care of. So I ended up switching from her and finding another rheumatologist. And I guess what I worry about in a rheumatologist right now is location, since my schedule is so busy. So my concern was just finding someone close to where I live. So I found one, and I like her. But I've also asked other people where they go for rheumatologists, and they've gave me suggestions. I've given other people suggestions. So it's good to talk to other people if you know other people with arthritis. talk to them and see who they like for their rheumatologist. Social life. My social life was affected a lot when I was a kid. With lupus, when I was just diagnosed, they put me on a ton of prednisone. So I got really, really fat, and kids made fun of me like every single day. So that affected my social life, kids just making fun of me. I guess right now it doesn't really affect my social life. Maybe it's because I'm more comfortable with having lupus, when before, I guess when I was a kid, I still didn't really know what it was, and I was still trying to learn to live with it and everything. But I guess the biggest thing that affects me right now is fatigue. So if I'm feeling tired, and I don't want to go out with my friends, they're like, oh, you're a grandma, you want to go to bed early, like I have lupus, it's affecting me, I'm tired right now. And then I guess something else is that nobody ever knows what lupus is, so when I tell them I have lupus, they're like, is that even a thing? What is that? So I guess that affects my social life too, but I don't just go around, broadcasting that I have lupus, but if, meeting new people and everything, we get into it, then I have to explain it because nobody really knows what it is. But other than that, my life isn't really too different than any other 24-year-old. So that's good. Physical activity, I consider myself really lucky that I am able to participate in physical activities. I know I have other friends who have lupus and arthritis, and they can't do what I do because they're in pain every day. And for about a year, I haven't been in any pain, so I'm really lucky. But how I stay active right now, I'm training for the Chicago Marathon, so I run all the time. I guess the only thing that I would suggest is listening to your body, because there's some days that my body is telling me that I shouldn't go running because, it's really hard on the joints and everything. Sometimes I push through it and I really regret it the next day because then I'm, sore and I'm really tired, like more tired than I normally would be. But then there's other times where if I'm feeling that, it's not a good day that I should go for a run, I just don't. You just have to listen to your body. I think that's it.
All right. Thank you, Colleen. I would like to thank all three of our speakers for joining us today. And please remember to complete the post-follow-up survey and ask questions. And I'll make sure that Mike, Kristen, and Colleen get the questions, and we will post the answers up on our website. Thank you again for joining us.